the future. How do we make a living? It's very difficult. I want to win the Oscars as a film composer. How do I even get into film composition? Will I ever get this opportunity to get a breakthrough? Or I will always only have 10 monthly listeners on Spotify and struggle to make a living for the rest of my life? These are real scary worries.
Today, I'm speaking with a close friend of mine. He's a composer, and we met at Mannes School of Music when I was doing my undergrad and he was doing his master's degree. Our first meeting was when I played on a piece that he composed for flute, harp, and voice. And I didn't expect every rehearsal to be so wildly entertaining. But one of my favorite things he does is he does impressions. Although I don't know if they're particularly good, but he's very committed to the bit. So at Mannes, he would host the student composer concerts as a different host each time. So I know there was a Jimmy Kimmel, there was Jackie Chan at the White House. I don't remember if there was a Donald Trump, or maybe I imagined that. It was very creative. No Donald Trump?
No.
Maybe in the future we'll have a Donald Trump. But anyway, he's a man of many opinions about music and otherwise. And I would say just a one-of-a-kind energy that's hard to describe until you meet him in person. He's currently doing his DMA in composition at Texas Christian University and is successfully publishing music with major publishers like Carl Fisher, RWS Music, and others. So I'm so glad he's joining us today. Xiao, welcome.
Thank you for the invitation.
Yeah, I want to go through a little bit of your story. A lot of the things I've been interested in asking musicians about is just their career and seeing that it's a lot more winding than a linear path than people imagine from the outside. But then I'm sure we will tangent and talk about UFOs or whatever else we always end up talking about. But let's start with, I know you were born in China and then you did your schooling before college in the UK. And you've told me about what a big impact going to school in the UK was like just culturally. Would you mind sharing just a little of that story and what was that? What did you learn from school in the UK?
So I was born in a Chinese city called Chongqing in the southwest. It's famous for hot pot, spicy food, very hot weather, mountains, a city of 30 million people, one of the 4 municipalities. So I lived there for 12 years. And when I was 12, I went to the UK to study with my parents. And in the UK, it's much more chill, right? They finished school at 3 in high school. Back in China, it's until elementary school is until 5 p.m. So it's much more relaxed, right?
I mean, China's not very chill.
Of course, it's always stressed. Means endless assignments every day. It's always stressed.
Like memorizing and reciting things.
For sure, and the teachers, they would rank the students in elementary school from number 1 all the way to the bottom.
Like publicly, they'd have this posted?
Not posted, but the teacher reads out the results.
Oh my God. Oh my
every
gosh.
time. And then you have to go up there to get your paper, right? You're number 1, Jennifer, number 2, Rina, number 3, something like that, right? So it's always stress and pressure and a lot of teachers, they're very harsh, right? They're very harsh and they call something, they call names, make nicknames or like that. But in the UK, I feel it's generally, it's more chill and there's only grades, A, B, A plus, B plus, that kind of stuff. It's much more equal. Like the teachers, they will not show very strong favoritism to certain students. Or if you're a weak student, they won't just publicly shame you or something like that. So that's something I felt very good. And when the last 2 years from 16 to 18, I was going to a boys' school. That was, also it was a very good school. So I was very, very happy with that experience. Made a lot of friends.
Were you already playing piano at that point?
So I started playing the piano at the age of 3 back in China. But
you beat me by a few years. 3? That seems really early.
Yes, I mean, because my mom wanted me to learn an instrument, and so I started. That was very early, but I did not receive intense trainings. And when I was 12, I stopped playing the piano. I mean, I didn't stop. I stopped having lessons, but I still had a piano, a keyboard at home. And every day after dinner, my mom would say, you have to practice half an hour. And she doesn't care what I play, as long as I play, right? So I just played pop songs like TV, those cartoon themes and anything I wanted. And that made me practice my playing by ear, which became very important when it comes to composition and improvisation later on.
Okay. So were you not reading music primarily?
I really hated sight reading. My sight reading is very slow. I really hated reading music, so I played mostly by ears. You know, there's an upside, there's a downside, but we cannot be good at everything, right? There has to be a
Yeah.
focus, there has to be a strength.
And plus, I think it's important you were playing music you enjoy. I remember begging my mom to let me stop taking piano lessons because I was just the kid that didn't practice and was kind of forced to do it. Luckily, she didn't let me quit. But then later on, when piano wasn't my primary instrument anymore, the pressure was kind of off of it, and then I found that I enjoyed piano way more, which is kind of tough because we want to when we get good at things or you show potential early, you kind of if you have a certain type of personality, you want to go 100% at it. And then you might find later that you don't enjoy it, but you're still doing it because, I mean, you could call it being stubborn or driven or anything like that. As a kid, you were forced to do it for half an hour. But was that sort of a relief to you? Was that an escape, an outlet for you even at the time? Or was it later that you enjoyed it more?
So when I was in China, I had weekly lessons, right? There was a break in the middle, but mostly I had weekly lessons and the teacher would assign me repertoires. So I wouldn't say that I enjoyed it very much, but I did not hate it, right? It was kind of neutral. Yes, there is stress. Of course, there's stress. I had to practice and that was about it. But when I was 12, I stopped having lessons. It was completely proactive, right? I took initiative. I just played whatever I want. I think that was important to play every day, to have the discipline, because discipline is also very important. To have that discipline and then to just to play whatever I want, to explore the basics of music. Why does this song sound so good? Right? All those the principles of music, right? Those wonderful aspects of music, exploring music like a kid, right? Exploring like a kid, exploring a bouncy castle, something like that. You know, that kind of stuff. So that was fun. Yes, that was fun.
I mean, that doesn't sound so much like discipline the way you described it.
Discipline as I have to play every day, but I am free. I have the freedom to play whatever I want. So it is discipline in the practice, because even the greatest composers, the greatest artists, we have to practice every day. But the content of the practice, if a parent restricts that content, it would kill the interest, right? It would kill the interest, because there are things that a child wants to do. There's a child that naturally interests in, and you should let the child feel free to explore himself.
Yeah. I mean, it's definitely a balance because, I mean, most 12-year-olds are just going to want to eat candy and not go to school and play video games. So, as a parent, I imagine you have to find that fine line between giving your kid the structure and discipline, but then, like you said, not ruining that interest for them. Because ideally, when you start your kid in music, you probably don't imagine they're going to be a professional soloist making a career in that. But you hope that they'll be an adult with an appreciation for music and kind of an intellectual maybe, but mostly that they enjoy it and that it's kind of a good use of their creative energy, I feel like.
For sure. Yes.
So I'm imagining 12-year-old you. Did you have that conception of discipline even then? Were you like, I'm going to be disciplined and practice? And
No,
did you
no,
do
no.
that in other things too?
No, 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 no,
Just
no, no.
looking back, it was disciplined.
12-year old, everybody wants to play. I'm just like any other kid. I want to play. I want to have fun. I don't like, schoolwork that much. I want to play computer games, just like I want to play soccer. I want to go outside just like everybody else. There was no such thing as, I don't think for kids, I don't think there's discipline for kids. Discipline only comes after, I would say, after when I chose to study music, and I knew that I figured out that this is that only thing, that one thing I love so much. I love for life, and I have my ambition to become a great composer like my greatest role model, Ryuichi Sakamoto. And after all that, there is discipline, because there is motivation, right? There's motivation. This is what I want to do. This is what I want to achieve for this life. This is what's going to keep me happy every day for the rest of my life. Now, there is motivation that naturally drives me to do it, to become better and better at it. Without interest, without love, there cannot be motivation. Therefore, there can be no discipline.
Mhm.
It's that simple.
And you mentioned Ryuichi Sakamoto. I don't know the story of this person.
Ryuichi Sakamoto, I could spend all day telling you about that, but
Let's have the footnotes version.
yeah, just maybe in short, a Japanese composer, was born in 1952 in Tokyo, and very famous. He's a film composer. He won an Oscars, the first Japanese person to win an Oscars for The Last Emperor in 1987. His most famous piece of music, film score, Merry Christmas, Mr. Lawrence, goes like that. Very famous
Do you have a
tune.
piece? You have a piece based on this title? You have something like
Yes,
that.
I wrote a piece as a tribute because he sadly passed away a few years ago, right, at the age of 71. And I wrote a piece, Merry Christmas, Mr.
Yeah,
Sakamoto,
that's what it was. Yep.
tribute to him. And I took some sections from his theme, the Merry Christmas, Mr. Lawrence. And he was famous for the YMO, the Yellow Magic Orchestra, the synth pop, which was very innovative. By the Tom Poole, Rydeen, his band, very famous pieces, very energetic and innovative. And also his piano solos. He also does ambient and classical, all kinds of styles, and I love him so much because I feel so much resonance with him. His music is so touching, it's so emotional, the story, it just, keeps me, engaged from the first second to the last. And it's so good and it's so touching, so emotional. It's such genius that it's hard to describe by words.
Mhm.
And his
Can you?
personality,
Do you think you can
yes.
appreciate it without knowing the story? I think the best composers can do that, where you don't even know what it's about, but you're enthralled.
Of course, of course. Many music, I don't, even with the lyrics, I don't care about the lyrics, or I don't look at the background, why he wrote it, how he wrote it, when he wrote it. I don't care. I listen to it, I feel it with my heart. I know that deep inside my heart, there's a piece of me that is the same as a piece of him. I understand why he made those decisions, why he wrote those notes. And I can feel it with my heart deep inside. And I'm sure a lot of people could feel it, how much he loves music, how much he loves this world, and what a delicate, empathetic, passionate, loving human being he is. His music, you could feel the wonderful things about humanity in the most sublime aspects of humanity from his music, and it's very hard to express with words.
Yeah.
So
Did you ever write to him while he was alive?
there was a piece, actually, Flightless Bird, that piece you played, it was dedicated to him. And I wrote on the publication, you can see, dedicated to my dearest, greatest inspiration, Mr. Ryuichi Sakamoto. And I wrote an email to him. I sent the link. His secretary responded, his agent responded, "Thank you so much for your kind words. We'll pass on your words to Mr. Sakamoto." But he was sick at the time. He was already he was having battling cancer at the time. He was already sick. And the
I
reason
mean,
I
I,
came
I
to
bet I bet she passed it on.
I'm sure, I'm
I
sure,
hope so.
I'm sure. And I'm sure the reason I went to New York is because I want to see him. But unfortunately, the day he passed away, I cried 5 times because I knew that probably I will never be able to see him again in his life. But right now, I feel he has never left me because of the music. We communicate through music. I feel he has never left. I listen to his music. I feel like I'm talking to him. And he's just his morality. I've read his autobiographies and went to there was a virtual concert. I never went to a live concert, but there was a virtual concert with a what do you call it? The glasses, the
VR?
VR.
No way.
Yes, in New York, it was just him.
Was this in COVID?
It was after. It was right after.
There was
Yes.
VR glasses concerts?
VR glasses concert with him just playing the piano right in the middle. I could stand right beside him, and when he played the da 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 da, oh, my tears just came down.
Your tears fried the VR glasses. There's like sparks going on. You're a pretty emotional person, and you've mentioned to me before that talent in composition, often you pay for it in emotional pain that you've endured that gives you that emotion. I mean, we think about historical composers. They say Tchaikovsky tried to drown himself standing in a river. I don't know if that's true. But then there's the positive side of music, which is this composer who's had such an impact on you just emotionally and in your life. And probably you're trying to carry on the legacy of meaningful music in your own composition. And I mean, I know for me, different music from that I've listened to in my past, it takes me right back to some memory. Walking in a certain place
For
or
sure,
when you're homesick, it
for
just
sure.
takes you right back there. Even today, I was listening to something I hadn't listened to in a while, and it brought back this memory that I didn't even know was in my mind. of playing outside when I was a little kid, and I was like, "Wow, this is just in my brain somewhere." And I feel like I'm back there, and music can just it's like magic that it just does that to you.
Sure.
And how cool is that?
For sure. I've also realized that music carries with it memories. For example, there was when I first went to the UK, I went there for like 2 years, right? And then I wasn't sure if I was gonna stay there because I really loved the environment there in the UK. Right, you can pick the subjects you like. You don't have to study all the subjects, on the general environment. And I really want to stay there, but my parents they were not sure whether I should stay. So there was a time of uncertainty, great uncertainty, and that was a turning point in my life, and I desperately wanted to stay. So the music I really liked listening to was the Les Choiristes, the choirists. It was a French movie about the choir, the kids, very famous back in the day. And the music, every time now I hear that, it brings me back to how I was feeling at the time. Yes, and those are the memories that some people say that there is nothing we can take away with us when we die, right? When we leave this world, there is only one thing that we can take away. That's memories, right? Memories. So something very magical about music.
Yeah, and a memory is rarely just a picture in your mind. It's is everything that goes with it. It's the uncertainty in your mind. It's the music, it's the people around you, it's their voices. So we're talking about the moment where you decided that composing was the right thing for you and you love music and then that's when discipline comes. But you were going to become an engineer. So like where does this fit in the timeline? Can you explain this?
Yeah, so basically at the end of high school, so we for A levels in the UK, right, which was the end of high school, the 2 years, we had to pick four subjects. So I picked math, physics, chemistry, and French because math, physics, chemistry was pretty good before for the GCSEs, which was 16. But I struggled my English. I struggle with reading. My reading is pretty slow. So the history, like geography, that kind of stuff, it's harder for me. Why didn't I pick music? Because music, like we wrote compositions, Sibelius, and I have this. How do you say OCD? Obsessive compulsive disorder.
Do you
Is
actually
because
have a diagnosis of that or
no, I
just
don't have, but
tendencies?
I'm pretty sure I have that because I keep obsessing over little details in music, and I have this extreme standard that I try to meet, and I keep trying different things, listen to things again and again and again, and that was very painful. But I think for a lot of great musicians, it's the same, right? Because a lot of pain, going through a lot of sufferings, and trying all the possibilities and feeling all the music that will give the best result. So I'm that kind of person, and it was too much suffering, too painful. So I didn't want to go through that again. I was okay, that's it. And so after that, French was French languages. I pretty like languages. I speak Chinese, English. So why not have a third language, right? Which became very useful when I then went to live in Quebec in Canada 2 years later. Yeah. So engineering was a natural choice, right? Math, physics, chemistry, and of course my parents, Asian parents, they would feel an engineer, stable job, right? So I did it, and went to McGill for my undergrad, and it was 4 years of my one of the, probably the most painful 4 years of my life, right? The material got very difficult, and every Christmas I did not have a single good Christmas because I was always worried about failing a class. Thermodynamics, fluid mechanics, partial differential equations. Oh, that class I failed. Yes, only class I failed, but my GPA was not very good. I struggled through a lot of classes, but still, I thought that I did not work hard enough. And then when I got a job, right, I worked as a flight simulator engineer, a software engineer. So basically, the flight simulators, they train pilots, right? They train pilots, and I worked at the company and for 2 years, and that was enough. I was so frustrating. I couldn't solve the problems. It's just full of stress. I was not good at it. And gradually, the frustrations, the anger, the resentment just builds, 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 builds. And one day, it breaks the threshold. I was like, that's enough. I need to change.
And you were there for 2 years?
For 2 years.
So
And
that's 6 years of hanging in there, almost lying to yourself that you're not in as much pain as you are, and that if you just try harder, you'll figure it out.
But here's the thing. It's hard to say lying because I was genuinely not sure, right? It takes trial and error, to figure things out, right? And sometimes, if you think about it, when we were 18 years old, we're gonna pick a major, and it's gonna be the thing that we're gonna love for the rest of our life. The
Which is just
probability,
crazy thing to
it,
ask of 18-year-olds.
exactly, is very low. After going through society, after going through sufferings, doing the things that I don't love, I start to realize what I truly love. I start to reflect and realize. So if this kind of stuff gives me pain and suffering, then what kind of stuff would make me happy? I start to remember, I start to memorize, I start to analyze, of course, learning, reading, meeting different people. Now there's YouTube, and also there's a lot of information that you can learn. So this continuous self-learning and self-reflection made me, and also this I was not happy, right? I was not, I cannot, I have some ambitions, right? I don't want to live a life like this, a mediocre life, or just do something you don't love, get a job, get married, have kids, and then retire and die. This is not the kind of life I want to live, right?
How did you know that it was possible to be happier? Because I know in periods of my life where I was not happy, I sort of assumed that everybody else felt the same way, but that they were better at dealing with it than I was.
What do you mean? How do you know that they are the
I guess I didn't know. I just assumed that life is suffering and other people have just found a better strategy to suffer through the suffering, and I need to just hang in there, kind of.
I think the opposite. I think most people are just hanging in there. Most people in the world are not doing a job they love. Most people in the world do not like their job. They are just making a living. They are just becoming like this huge machine of society. They are like a little screw or bolt. Everybody is doing that little bit and just, being driven, being forced by society to function. Because if you don't work, right, you're not going to have the money to pay rent. You're not going to have money to pay food. You cannot get married, you cannot have kids, right? So people are forced to move forward, and there's family pressure, right? There's peer pressure. There's all kinds of pressure. So to break away from all those pressure, to be rebellious, it takes rebellion, it takes courage, right? It takes rebellion, it takes courage. I just don't want to live. There's no hope. I'm unhappy. I want to be happy. I want to live a happy life. It's that
I
simple. So
feel like
where's my way
you're a
out?
pretty unique person in that you saw past those things that you were supposed to want. You were supposed to want a stable job with money and with predictability, and also being an engineer can be kind of an ego thing that you have a fancy job as an engineer. But
But
I feel
nobody
like,
cares.
yeah, nobody
In fact,
cares.
honestly, before when people ask me, I meet people, what do you do? Mechanical engineering. Oh, that's it. Nobody cares. As nobody cares if you're an engineer. No, how many engineers there are? Millions, millions of engineers around the world, right? A great musician like Taylor Swift, right? There's only one.
The
Mozart,
best
there's only one,
musician.
right?
Well, it's art Taylor Swift, yeah.
No, but I'm saying that like musicians, we need all those musicians. I don't think it's fair to compare Mozart is and or Taylor Swift, who is better. There's no point. John Cage and Rachmaninoff, who is better? We cannot compare because they're different genres. They all create amazing music to the world. For me, the greatest musician is Ryuichi Sakamoto. Right in my heart, Ryuichi Sakamoto is greater than Mozart for sure.
Yeah,
Right?
I was gonna say music is not a thing that you can qu quantify the impact that it has. For Taylor Swift, you can look at her Spotify downloads, but there's no way to measure how deep an impact is on some person. And all of us have eclectic music tastes. It's not always the most popular person, but like we talked about memories earlier, it can be the most random song that takes you back so hard to whatever memory and fills you with just emotion in a way that other things in life can't. You can't measure that.
Yes, that's true. That's true. And we need. It's like food, right? Can you eat carrot every day? Even it's the best carrot in the world. Well, we need all kinds of different food. Just we need all kinds of different genres of music to make this world a fulfilling and happy and satisfying world. So we need them all, right? And sometimes a musician can be very popular right now, but it fades quickly. Mozart, 300 years after his death, he has 7 million monthly listeners on Spotify. 300 years after his death,
Dang!
right?
It's
So
doing pretty good.
so this is the kind of musician I want to become. I don't want like what 1 billion monthly streams on. I mean, if I have that would be great, but I don't think that will happen. But I want to write music that lasts.
Hmm. So it is a little bit of your legacy that you're concerned with. Because I was going to ask you how much of this is for you versus do you have the audience in your mind when you're composing?
When I'm not composing to please the audience. That is very important. Many people, they try to please the audience. They can, the sacrifice they lose is authenticity. What I do, I compose the music I want to hear. I write this music, I write the songs that makes me happy, and I am sure that there's a group of people out there that will also share my aesthetics and taste and will make them happy. Whether it's 1 million, 10,000, 100,000, that's not something I can control. But as long as I can make a living, as long as I can keep writing and creating music for this world, because after I die, my music lives on. My soul lives on in this world after I die. And that's what's so fulfilling about composing. If I just work as an engineer, I'm the top engineer, right? Salary 500K a year. So what? Nobody knows what I did. Nobody knows what I did. I write the code, I get paid, and I die. Nobody would know that I have lived in this world. But my music, they've been published. Thousands of kids are playing my music every year. That makes me so happy.
Yeah,
That makes me.
there's something spiritual about it. And also in your story, you take leaps of faith a lot. And you're also a logical person who probably likes a good plan and likes being in control of things. How do you find this? Is it like two different versions of you, the one that takes a leap of faith and then the one that puts everything in order?
I think everything, one thing that we have to learn as human beings living in this world is to live with uncertainty, to
Yes, please
accept,
help me. How do I do this?
to tolerate uncertainty, right? Because music, you see, every note, right? I pick carefully every dynamic, the position, staccato, everything. We make thousands of decisions writing a piece. So I feel like I have full control. And this piece, I shaped it to this perfect piece that I like. But then I send it to a publisher. The publisher asked me to change things, to modify things that I don't agree with. And so what do? If I don't agree, they won't publish my piece. I will never have my music heard in the world. So what do I have to do? Compromise, right? Compromise. And also, even after that, I make compromise. They're going to record it, right? I have nothing to do with the production process. They're going to record it. And when I hear the recording, oh my God, why did you do that? Why did you do that? Why did you change that without me knowing? All right.
Has
So
it been pretty egregious sometimes listening to the recording?
sometimes, I cannot listen to my music after they are done or published. At least, a lot of times they make me very painful and regretful and anxious. Why did you do what? Maybe what if I did this? What if they did that? Why did you do that? Right? So, but then I realized it was very painful, right? There are so many variables in this world that a lot of things in this world will not go to our plan. Many things, actually, most things in this world will not go according to our plan. That's a fact. That's a fact we cannot change. So what do? We either regret, we resent, we are frustrated, we're unhappy, or we accept it. We live with it. Yes, we accept because it doesn't matter those little variations. My piece is my piece. My music is my music. The melody is there. If somebody copy my melody, they'll get sued, right? So this is music with my name. And there are many different versions in this world, right? Each performance is just a snapshot. There are many different versions of the same song. And sometimes other people's version might sound even better than mine, or in some cases, right? So this is once you realize that, and I went through a lot of pain and suffering. I talked to like ChatGPT, Gemini a lot. Like after I released something on Spotify, blah, 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 I was like, oh my, that note is too strong. Oh my God, the melody is too strong. Is the bass too weak, blah, blah, blah. I keep worrying. And I was like, how can I stop worrying, right? I cannot change it anymore. So that's something that we have to learn, is to live with uncertainty and to navigate life. I mean, who knows? Music, as a musician, we're both musicians. When we pick the root of music, yes, we're doing something we love, but comes with uncertainty. The future, how do we make a living? It's very difficult, right? How do we make a living as a musician? I want to win the Oscars as a film composer. How do I even get into film composition? Right? It seems that there were a lot of luck, right? Those people, or they met somebody, or they got a job and they started to take off. Will I ever get this opportunity to get a breakthrough? Or I will always only have 10 monthly listeners on Spotify and struggle to make a living for the rest of my life? These are real scary worries for musicians. Very uncertainty. But for me, so we need to have backup plans, plan A, plan B, plan C, right? Like you're having, right? Teaching, like social media, like an influencer, DMA, auditions. We need to have several plans, and we need to go, and then we learn. We go, we learn, and then we navigate. We keep changing, right? I
Yeah,
think
I
the
think
best.
focusing on the uncertainty will drive any person insane.
Yes,
And focusing on, I imagine, as a composer, you put something out in the world, and then if you're really uptight about all the changes when it comes back to you and it needs to be exactly like it was in your brain, you're just going to lose forever.
for sure.
Do you ever think of it as, I have given a gift to the audience by writing this music for these kids to play? And then it's sort of like I've given them a coloring book, and now they're going to use their own creativity to make it their own. And then you're not so upset by what comes back to you.
Absolutely. You know what? When I hear other people play my piece, my expectation is not that high because I'm not in control. When I'm performing myself, I'm producing myself. I'm responsible for the final sound, right? So I feel much more self-conscious. But when other people are performing, right, the conductor, the level of the orchestra, the arrangement, or the production level, there's so many variables I cannot control that I actually feel much less worried
It's
about.
not in your hands anymore.
Yeah. I feel much less worried about that. But it's tough. It's tough. We have to, most people, I think, they produce, they release like 2 3 songs. There isn't result, right? And they give up. Most people. But as long as we are authentic to ourselves, as long as we keep improving, we have true talent, we have true ability, we keep releasing, keep putting our music out to the world. One day, we need to have faith. One day, gradually, the influence will come. Gradually, especially today, all the algorithms, right? Spotify, YouTube, all those algorithms, they reward consistency, right? If you have a voice, if you keep putting it out there, the algorithm will pick it up, and then we'll get more and more opportunities. But the beginning is the most difficult, right? You have to keep making music and releasing music no matter what. That is more, it's like going to the gym, right? You go to a few days, you don't see result. Most people give up, but you're still going. You do it gradually, little by little. And trust me, God will not disappoint us.
What do you think of my philosophy at the moment? Is low expectations, high standards. So my standard every day for my work ethic is going to be the same, and my expectation of the world is going to be that I get nothing back. And then when I get something back, I'm over the moon.
I mostly agree. I modify one thing. When I'm making the music, when I'm in the process of production, I have high expectations because that high expectation will give me the high standard, right? If I make this one well, I'm going to win the Oscars. I'm going to win the Emmys. The motivation is huge. That drives me to perfection. Once I release the music, I drop my expectation. I keep it low because at the beginning, if the expectation is low, nobody's going to hear my piece anyway. Why do I work hard? Why do I have to have high standards, right? So high expectation when making, once it's out of your hands, low expectation.
Yeah, we got to have dreams though, is what
For
you're saying.
sure.
And I fully agree with that. Because
Exactly.
if it's going to be someone, why can't it be us if we're working hard?
Yes.
And then, like you're saying, the plan A, plan B, plan C,
Yeah.
that's sort of where I am right now. That I'm thinking if I can throw everything at the wall and someday I'll find a spot where I fit in the world. And it might not be in the way that I expected. Like you said, most plans don't go according to plan. But it's kind of egotistical for us as humans, and we all do this, to think that we know exactly what we want for our lives.
Yes.
Like, even
That's
if
not
we
possible.
could wake up and live in the life of some celebrity that we think of, we have no idea if we would be miserable after a week of that.
Even the celebrities, no, don't think that they are all happy. Many celebrities are very miserable, right, behind the screen.
Yep.
So there's one thing I wanted to add is that I heard the what is it called, the leopard chasing the what is it called, the deer, right? So the deer is not far. The leopard is faster than the deer, but the deer is very good at changing directions, right? He runs around and changes directions, zigzag, zigzag, right? So it's very hard for the leopard to. So every time the deer changes direction, the leopard has to change his direction to try to match the deer, right? And the good person in whatever field, right, is like a leopard. We have to keep adjusting our little targets, right, based on what is happening in real life, and we try our best, and the result wouldn't be too bad, right? It wouldn't be too bad. Winning the Oscars, winning the Joe Hisaishi has never won the Oscars, like composer for the Studio Ghibli. So many wonderful, touching melodies, such great orchestration, never won the Oscars. So we should not really seek too much approval, right, from other people, because the committee, who gets the Oscar, it's up to those few people. They get to pick, right? That's why I don't like going, doing those competitions, right? Because competitions, a few people they decide, and and there are many things behind the back. You don't know what's going on, but getting the approval of the audience, of the general public, right? Having a group of people that really appreciate your music and aesthetics, I think that is a much more realistic goal.
Have you ever thought about what if it all didn't work out? Sort of, maybe you're familiar with Stoic philosophy. They have this one memento mori, which is to remember death, and the idea is to do that every day. And it sounds like an ominous bad thing, but when I think of that, it's kind of freeing to me, because I know that whatever problem I have is so small in comparison to the whole world, and in the comparison to a human life, and whether or not you believe there's something after life. Human problems are Monday morning problems. Even if everything fell apart, it makes it feel really small, and it's a relief to me.
Even if everything doesn't work out, I am doing this thing I love. Every day I wake up, I'm doing something I love, and I can make a living to support my life. And that is enough, right? Why did I come back from music? Why did I choose music? Is because at the age of 23, I realized that music is the only thing that, no, even if I don't get rich or famous, I will still enjoy doing every single day for the rest of my life. And that makes me happy. Happiness, for me, happiness is the ultimate goal of life. Everything we do, or the career, a family, it's for happiness. I want to live a happy life, right? If I every day is miserable, what's the point? Right? So I'm already living my dream life. I'm already living my dream life.
You've already won.
Of course. But of course, the goal to be my inspiration is there are greater happiness, there are greater fulfillment, right? There are sceneries that in the world that I have not seen that I want to see. There are people that I want to meet. There are heights that I want to reach. I want to be Carnegie Hall. Everybody giving me a standing ovation. That feels pretty cool. Right? That feels pretty cool. So it would be nice. It would be nice to be. I'm not gonna hide my dreams or ambitions, because a lot of feel like, especially nowadays, a lot of the conservatories, composers is like, we're writing atonal music.
I knew we were going to get into this.
Yes, we're writing where this is true art. Yeah, we don't care about money. We don't care about fame. I don't think that's true, because I talk to them, and most people, I think most human beings, we want our music to be heard by as many people as possible. We are not composing for ourselves. Yes, otherwise we'll be locked up in a room and just write. Why do we perform our music? Why do we go to competitions? Why do we release music? It's because we want as many people to hear and like our music as possible, because that gives us that resonance, that appreciation, gives us fulfillment, makes us happy.
Can you explain the atonal trend for moms watching who don't understand, and then also why you think it's happening?
I think why it's happening is...
So say what it is, though.
So, I'm a very honest person, and people can disagree with me as watching this podcast, but I'm still going to say it. I already got admitted to a DMA program, so why do I care?
You're
I don't care anymore. I don't care. But most of the conservatories in North America and probably around the world, right, the composers are writing those atonal, experimental, avant-garde music.
Yeah, it's like no melody. It doesn't really have a key. It's more about sounds and techniques.
Yes, not about stories or emotions anymore. It's innovation for the sake of innovation. Innovation.
Yeah, it's like we've done everything before in music that's ever been done. So now we have to make music kind of ugly on purpose. And even composers would describe it this way, some of them.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, I remember there was like an example by an engineering professor. So he said, if we walk on 2 feet, if one person just invents, okay, let's be innovative, let's walk on 1 foot from now on. That's very innovative.
Yeah.
Yes, that's very innovative. Why don't we do it? Right? Why don't we do it? Right? So because it's useless, it's pointless, it does not benefit. And music is a little bit more nuanced than that. It's not purely practical, right? It's more spiritual, right? It's more subjective. But that doesn't mean it's 100% subjective. There are still objectivities. Why some musicians get 1 million streams? Why some musicians reach the status of Mozart talent? Why we love their music so much? And why some musicians, nobody listen to the music? There's a reason, right? So
Well, our brains like patterns, and a lot of this new music, there's literally no patterns. It's just really hard to get into it.
exactly. Patterns, that's one thing. Aesthetics, there's also another. Music is fundamentally, it's a science, right? It's a bunch of frequency entering our ears, triggering chemical reactions. Some frequencies trigger good chemical reactions that make us feel good, like a C major triad. Some, if you have like parallel dissonance or those frequencies, they make us feel uncomfortable. So you have to think about that. You are writing music. If you're writing music, so people, at least you want people to want to hear it again. Yes. If I listen to a piece of music, I don't want to hear it again. It's not a good piece of music for me. I think that's a simple criteria. You want people to hear your music again, so you should not make them uncomfortable. Yes. If it's like for horror music and all that, it's like intentional, sure. But that is also, but there's still patterns, there's still logic. Music is a very logical thing, right? You're doing certain things one after another, build tension, building and release. You keep the audience engaged and not too unpredictable, not too predictable, not too sweet, not too bitter, the middle ground. That's what's so difficult about composition, right? Is to finding that middle ground, finding the balance in the music. So
So
even
you're going against the grain by writing more, I wouldn't, would you say traditionally, but melodies and emotion first.
look,
I'm looking.
should people explore those atonal music? Sure, but I think a small amount is enough. Currently, everybody's doing that, right? Why is everybody doing that? Because there's a big chasm, right? This big rivalry between commercial music and art music, right? Commercial music, all the Taylor Swift, Ed Sheeran making big money, very popular. So the art music, the university professors, right? They get hired, they get paid every year to be in a nice environment to write music. So they have to be different, right? Because commercial music, they cannot Taylor Swift, they cannot beat Ed Sheeran, right? So they have to do something that's completely different, right? And of course, they should explore things like that. They should, but not everybody. Now everybody's doing that. Why? Because of conformity, right? Psychology, right? We conform. We jump on the bandwagon. We do whatever everybody else does. When the teacher tells us to do this, we do this. And my teacher also told me, my teacher also encouraged me. And there is pressure, right? I also tried, but I really hated it. So I was like, no, it takes courage to say no. Most people cannot. I don't think most people have the courage to go against, to be authentic, to do what we love. And there was a cost, right? When I applied to doctoral programs, I present over 2 years, 29 applications, right? I only got one.
That's all you need.
But even with such cost, I'm this kind of person that I would insist on something because I truly believe it's right. So I will insist on it, even it's against the whole world is against me. And also, Ryuichi Sakamoto said in the 1980s that the future of the music belongs to world music and electronic music. And I agree with him. World music, combining Japanese music and Latin music, combining African music with Cambodian music, combining gamelan music with Celtic music. There are so many combinations in the world and they have never been explored. And these sound good. They are not atonal because all we want to do is we want to have new sound, right? We want to have new sound in the music world that I've never heard before. What is it called? The world music and electronic music. There are so many combinations that we can do, and they are acceptable and they're innovative. And I think that's the future.
Yeah. I mean, I would be very surprised to know that there's nothing new to be done in the world of tonal music. That I feel like we have not reached the limits of human creativity yet.
For sure.
But yeah, throughout your story, it is a common theme. Like I said, you take leaps of faith and you mentioned courage. I think that it's one of your strengths that you have a skill for not caring what the trend is and what everybody else says you should do and what the easy thing is. And you threw enough things at the wall that you found a place that is right for you. And you can write in a way that fits with your emotions and your goals. And also you're financially stable and publishing. And I think that's a great message for a lot of people who feel like very strong pressure to go in a certain direction. And then another thing, speaking of courage, I just want to ask you and have you explain my favorite thing you did at Manus, which I would say is courageous, is all of the composer concerts that you hosted as Jimmy Kimmel and on all those.
Yes.
And just there's very few classically trained musicians who are really good at what they're doing who can also have a bit of public speaking skills and stage presence and even just people skills. How do you have both of these things at the same time?
I think people skills, because my parents, firstly, they're both professors, so they like to talk all the time, and I think I got influenced growing up. That's one thing, and also I like to express myself through music and through words, and I like to have interesting, deep philosophical conversations with people, and I like to have fun, right?
Yeah. So, what was your mindset with these things that you hosted?
Well, the composer concert at the beginning, right? They needed a host, and there was nobody who wanted to be a host, because there's a lot of pressure. Public speaking is the number one fear in the world above death, right? Death is number two, right? So I was like, okay, I can do it, but I don't want to be a boring host. Like, okay, thank you everybody for coming. Today we'll hear this. Thank you very much. No, right? Because in my heart, I have this strong desire to have fun. Right? I want to make things fun. I get bored. When I get bored, it was very painful. When I sit in a boring lecture, it was very painful. And I don't want my audiences to be painful. So I want to make it fun. So first one, I think the first concert, I was myself. I think first one was, but I think the first one was the Super Mario thing. Yeah, I played the Super Mario thing. I was myself.
Were you Super Mario?
No. I always go up. I play like a short intro on the piano, and then I start my monologue. Right.
Oh, okay.
So I played the Super Mario theme, but I was myself. That was the first one. Second one was a Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. I was Mr. Willy Wonka. Yeah. Third one was I did a tribute to Mr. Ryuichi Sakamoto because he just passed away. Like I think it was like a month ago. So that was the third one. Number 4 was Jimmy Kimmel. That was the one you were at. That was
Yes.
actually after 2
The
days
infamous
after.
one.
Yeah, 2 days after we had our first rehearsal, like we met for the first time officially. I remember you said you're like, "Hi, so nice to meet you, Jimmy Kimmel." Right?
You should have hosted one as me.
Yeah.
That was
No,
such a great impression.
No, the gender is wrong.
Jackie Chan at the White House.
No. The second one was Jimmy Fallon. So Jimmy Kimmel, so that was number 5.
We
Jimmy
got both
Fallon.
Jimmys. Good.
Yeah. Number 6 was Jackie Chan at the White House. That was the Christmas edition.
Naturally.
Yeah. Number 7 was
You played La La Land at one of them.
that was the last one.
Okay.
That was the last one. I can't remember number 7. Number 8 was The Godfather. Yes, The Godfather. Number 7 was the Oscars. It was Jimmy Kimmel presenting the Oscars.
Okay.
Yes, so that was just right around the time of the Oscars. So that was number 7. Number 8 was The Godfather, and number 9 I played La La Land, and I was myself. But The Godfather came back a little bit.
Of course, yeah. Yeah.
Every time I'm very nervous, right? I would write a speech and I would practice before the mirror, like for an hour before on the day. And I try to think of some funny, maybe I'll release those videos footage one day.
Oh, you should.
Yeah.
On your Instagram or your YouTube channel?
Maybe YouTube channel. Yes. But I think I'll release them later. But it's been such fun experience. I think everybody had fun.
Yeah. I was dying.
Yeah.
The audacity, and also might as well, because everybody's so serious at a music school trying to do their best and worried about whatever. But then it's nice when people decide to have fun and take risks. And I would say for any musician and for anyone who's worried about public speaking, people don't think about you as much as you think. They might think about you while you're doing it, and you might mess up, whatever. As long as you keep going, they're not going to be thinking about you again. And if they do, they're just going to think, man, that's so cool that they tried that and they took a risk and they were trying to be funny. And then you get better and better at it. And then you're a musician who can also talk to people. And that's a really cool skill that will get you in the door in other places. Yes. And I'm glad that, I had, I think the most important thing for developing any skill is desire, right? I have the desire. I don't want to make things boring. I have a strong desire to make things fun, because when things are fun, I'm happy. And it comes to happiness again. Everything comes back to this one purpose is happiness. I want to be happy myself.
And at the same time, I make other people happy. Maybe not everybody, I cannot make everybody happy. That's fine. That's fine. We cannot make, and some people will dislike us no matter how hard we try, and that's fine. We should accept that. I think there was a book called The Courage to be Disliked, right? We should, and that's another lesson I learned. We should have the courage to be disliked and not please others all the time. That we have dignity, right? And we'll have true happiness. But this, there's a lot of philosophical ideas that are important, but these are a few ones that I think I want to share with the people who are watching.
Yeah. No, I think that's exactly right. It might not be a linear path, but you can set up your life in a way where you're working and you're making money, but hopefully it's the right balance where you actually enjoy your life and you have a big impact on, or not a big impact, but at least a deep impact on a small amount of people. And that can be worth so much more than any sort of big reputation and caring about what everybody thinks.
That's
So
true. That's true. You mentioned it's non-linear, right?
yeah,
Progress is never like that. It's up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down. So it's very challenging
we just have
for
to have faith in the uncertainty, I would say.
yes, managing uncertainty, keep working hard, being not, living with uncertainty, embracing uncertainty, embracing failures, right? Self-doubts. I mean, successful people have insecurities. Everybody has insecurities. Successful people have insecurities. They have self-doubts. It's uncomfortable for them. We always imagine, oh, those people, they don't have this. They are perfect. No, everybody has that. Depends on how we manage it. Some people give up. Some people have breakdowns. But other people, we get up. We fall down, we get up. Right? That's very important.
Well, Xiao, thank you so much for sharing all of this. I feel like we have so many more roads we should do this again
Sure.
sometime and talk
For sure.
about AI and the kids these days and all that.
Yes.
But what are you working on now? Where can people find you? Is your YouTube channel just your name?
YouTube channel,
Okay.
Xiaokang Deng, you put in my name. I created the link tree to
Fancy.
all the yeah, but I put it on my Instagram. But search my name. You should find it. YouTube, Spotify.
The one and
yes.
only.
So basically, I try to release music regularly, once in a while, and I think it's very important.
What are you working on now?
So now I'm finishing up my string orchestra pieces for Carl
Okay.
Fischer. Yeah, I'm writing 2 grade 1 pieces and 2 grade 2 pieces. Hopefully they'll get accepted. If not, I'll just send to other publishers. And basically you have to modify, you have to change, you have to compromise. And then I'm also writing piano solos. Every 2 months, I try to release on Spotify a piano solo, like Iruma style piano solo. Also, I'm trying to do electronic music, like the synth pop music. And
Yeah, I know you're in a synth pop band. It's crazy.
unfortunately, it's dead.
No.
Because it's very hard for musicians, because we all have different standards and aesthetics, and now we are not even in the same city, so it's very difficult to work together.
And maybe you guys will get back together someday, like
But,
One Direction.
Sometimes if it's not the right fit,
Yeah.
saying goodbye is better than being stuck together.
Yeah.
Knowing when to give up, knowing when to say goodbye, I think it's also a very important skill.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not like I give up, or when I try something, I have some obstacle and I give up. You try something, you try to make it work, you go all the way, you realize it cannot work, you then give up.
Yeah.
Right?
And you still learn something. Like we were talking about before this call, I learned that having a cat is not the right choice for me.
For sure.
But it was painful, but I learned it. And now I'm better off for it.
That's a valuable lesson. That's a
Yeah.
valuable lesson, and that's something that all human beings, we all go through.
Yeah.
Right? Yes.
Well, I'm looking forward to seeing what you make next.
Okay,
All right.
thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you for watching The Practice Room. Please remember to like, subscribe, and comment. Also, contact me on Instagram or my website if you would like to be a guest or would like to suggest a guest. Links in the description. Thank you.